Morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. Jeremiah 6:16 reads thusly, "Thus saith Yahweh, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein." And that got me thinking, because I've been thinking about that verse a little bit lately. Anyway, that got me thinking about a lot of things that relate to us today. How do I start this video? A few weeks ago, I had a guy here who knew a lot about a lot of things, and we talked about a lot of things. And one of the things he did is he gave me a gift of some grounding rods that were connected to a conductive wristband that you put on, and then it had this long curly cord, and you could stick it in the dirt. Or it also had a plug that didn't really have the two prongs, it just had the grounding rod, and you could plug it into the wall if you were inside and then put this wristband on. You could put it on your wrist, or you could put it on your foot to do while you're sleeping or whatever. And he explained to me this concept of electrical grounding, whereby it connects you with the earth, and there's all these electrons, and I'm not a scientist, and I was, I think, polite and gracious, but I remained incredibly skeptical. And so I'm like, yeah, all right, thank you very much. And then I was like, whatever. Well, then I started doing research. I started looking into it. I started thinking about it. I started praying about it, and which led me to the old paths, right? And I did get to thinking, we were designed by the Creator a certain way. We were designed to be a certain way, and we've all gotten away from that in so many ways, right? I mean, I could turn this into a sermon and get spiritual on you, but I'm not going to. Do you know there are people who cannot live in their houses or even in your house because they have become super allergic to chemicals? And there's a term for that, but basically they've been exposed to so many chemicals that they just can't be around them anymore. Like plastic. Plastic is always off-gassing, or stuff you spray on your oven, or, whatever. I mean, if you think about the chemicals we use as a people day to day, it's large, and at some point, some people's bodies say, we're done, right? About the poison, most of you should. It's really poison that's in our food. I mean, you go into a McDonald's or something to eat, and everything in there is fake food. It's plastic food, what you're eating. And it's not much better when you go to the grocery store. And I've talked about this before, they say it's smart to shop the margins of the grocery store where the veggies and the milk and meat and dairy and all that stuff is. And even that isn't that great for you anymore. And so there's something to this organic food movement, right? It's not just for crunchy people, hippies with, weird left-wing ideas, right? Don't get me started on left versus right wing either. Oh my, wow. I could go places today. My brain's working. But there is something to eating correctly and putting the correct food in our bodies. And then there's something to, of course there is, right? It's in the Word. But, we're not supposed to mix linen and wool on our bodies. And Paul Neeson has done some good talks on this. And he talks about electrical energies in wool and cotton, wool and linen. And if you put them together, perhaps they negate each other or create a bad thing. Whatever. There's something to that. I don't think it's probably good for us to wear polyester. I don't have a reason behind that. I don't have science behind it. It's just a feeling I have. We ought to wear natural fabrics. We ought to eat natural food. We ought to try and consider the old ways, right? Those old paths. Because we were designed, we were created to live a certain way. And we've gotten so far from that. I wear a lot of running shoes. I run a lot. And so I have this, I wear my new running shoes to run, my older running shoes to walk around in, and my nasty running shoes to mow the lawn in, and then they just keep rotating down until I throw them away. And so I have a lot of running shoes that I wear. And, that's like rubber, right, on the bottom. It's to protect your foot. Well, the Most High created us to run, right? He created us to run, and he didn't give us Nikes, Adam didn't have Nikes. Adam wasn't running on concrete or asphalt. So, but this rubber does insulate us from the ground. The American Indians, who I studied a lot in my younger years, they had a lot of things right. I'm not saying they were perfect, They certainly didn't have a relationship with the Most High correctly. Be that as it may. Don't give me hate mail on that. Whatever. Believe what you want. but they did have a lot of things right. And I was reading this morning, they wore leather moccasins, right? Or went barefoot, many of them. There was no rubber on their shoe, and so they were still grounded to the earth, so we're back to grounding. Give it a thought, think about it. What we've started doing is because I can't walk in bare feet yet. I don't do it. I have tender little feet. Big Bad Green Beret can carry a rucksack forever. I used to be able to, now can carry it halfway forever. I still always had tender feet when I took my boots off, right? And but now, and I still have tender feet, but now when I sit down, I'm typically outside, I just take my shoes off and I let my feet rest in the dirt. It makes me feel good. Is it psychosomatic? Is it psychological? I don't know. I think that there's probably something to this grounding effort. Think about, and I talk about this a lot, think about the noise we surround ourselves with, the radio, the TV, the internet, the visual noise, right? All the stuff we have in our homes, all the colors, and it gets back to the chemicals in our homes. And then just look at this. Pretty nice. Pretty nice out here when I shut up. Get outside. Spend some time in creation. You are a part of creation. Spend some time in it. Try to simplify your life. Try to get rid of the noise. Try to get rid of the poison in your life. Little steps you take will have a lot of benefit down the road. All right. I'll see you out there.